let me go through these and answer any questions on them. And then I got a couple more up here too. So this is chain rule with tables instead of with actual equations, which I think is harder. It seems like it's easier because you just got a bunch of like reasonable numbers to work with, but there's a lot to pick from, and kind of got to make sure you're doing it right. So part one.
Here, I got a good one for you.
So I got this h of x equals f of x squared. So what's the big guy in that situation? The 2 or the squared, and the little guy's your f of x, right? This is your big guy, this is Mr. Peck. So your derivative, your big guy's the power. The way you take the derivative of powers is to bring it down, reduce the power by 1, and what do you do with the inside? You leave it, and then you multiply by the derivative of the inside, right? Well, they're asking me for, so that's the like chain rule part. Questions on that part? This is a 1, not a prime, so I don't even need to have it there. Question on that part? And then we're plugging in, so they asked for h prime of 4. So I want 2 times f of 4 times f prime of 4. Alright, well f of 4 is 2. So 2 times 2, and then f prime of 4 is negative 1. So 2 times 2 times negative 1 is negative 4. How many had negative 4? Anybody? Nice. So some people had 4. I'm just curious how you got, like you had 4, right?
No, I just wrote mine upside down because I knew how to do number 2 first.
Oh,
I had
okay.
it right.
Very cool. I didn't know it wasn't me.
No,
You're stupid, you missed that one. No, like how what mistake you made. Anything else I can talk through on that one? Does that help? Because these look, like at first I know this is like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but does that help? Second one's a little tougher because you got to do some plugging in that's a little goofy. See, this is why I didn't want this marker for a second.
so sorry.
They don't, well, I took it. I appreciate you giving it to me, but they don't erase very well. But I was in a panic. Here we go. Alright. Second one I think is tougher for most people. So this is f of g of x. So this is exactly what's written over here. F is your big guy, g is your little guy. So you take the derivative of the big guy, leave the little guy alone, and then you multiply by the derivative of the little guy. So we can write that out first. But that's not the hard part for most people. That's the calculus, but that's not the hard part. Take the derivative of the big guy, leave the little guy alone, multiply by the derivative of the little guy. Questions on that? So then they want you to plug in 1, so h2 of 1. So this is f prime of g of 1, and that's where most people screw it up. This is not a multiplication. This is not f prime times g of 1. It's f prime of g of 1, so it's one of those, what's it called? What can I do? Composite functions, thank you. So your job is to plug 1 into g. You work inside out. So you plug 1 into g, you get that number. Then you plug that number into f prime. So this is a 2-step deal where you plug it in. It's not a multiplication. So what's g of 1? If I plug 1 into g, what do I get? I get 1. So my next step, and you might not write this as you get more used to it, but my next step is technically that. So g of 1 became 1. And then I want to find f prime of that 1. And g prime of that 1. I'm multiplying together. So f prime of 1 is 2. G prime of 1 is 2. So this ends up being 2 times 2, which is positive.
Oh.
How's that? No? Where?
It's just, I didn't realize what you were saying when you were in the third step,
Okay.
but then when you went to the fourth step, I understood. Like when you were saying that it was G of 1, then F of 1, I was like, and then when you
So when I wrote the f prime of 1, that.
yeah, when you wrote it
Well, you're
out,
shaking your head no, like I lost you, but you're not bad.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm just shaking my head now because I'm too lazy to want to.
I don't know what to do about that. Alright, so here's another first one's easier because you don't have to worry about the f of g of, like the composite function part. Thank you, Noah. That's fair. So that's your down to answers are up there. So if you didn't get them, see if you can figure out why and tweak your way there. Or I'll explain it. Yeah, I'll go through it for sure. And there's I got one more up here. But you'll see these going forward also. It's not like today's only day. Okay, so first one, h1 prime of x. This is your big guy, this is your little guy. The big guy's a power, so they take the derivative of powers. We bring it down, reduce by 1. I don't want to write a 1 there because it looks like a prime. That might be confusing. And then you leave the little guy alone. And then you multiply by the derivative of this little guy. So that's f prime of x. And then we're plugging in 4. So h1 prime of 4 equals 2 times f of 4 times f prime of 4. So 2 times, so f of 4 is 3. F prime of 4, negative 1. So 2 times 3 times negative 1. That's not negative 6, then quite a few dots. That's good. Questions on that? Where'd you get this? I don't understand where this number came from. What the f of x is going on here? I just thought of that actually. It took me 10 years to teach the class to figure things out. Alright, the second one is a little tougher for most people. So your derivative is going to be, so your big guy's the f, little guy's the g, and try to, I mean, I know you can just straight up copy off the board in this case, right? But try to think through it, because that's obviously not going to be
Oh, I
there.
didn't realize it was up there.
Good. So you take the derivative of the big guy, or the outside, leave Mr. Packard alone, and then you take the derivative of the inside. But this is a composite function, that is not a multiplication. So h of 4 will be f prime of g of 4 times g prime of 4. So this is f prime of, well, g of 4 is 2. And then I'm just gonna leave this G prime of 4 here, so I'm kind of at the same level. So I worked out this part of it, but just rewrote that part. F prime of 2 is 3 halves. G prime of 4 is 1, so then 3 halves times 1 is 3 halves. How many had 3 halves? I got there eventually. Questions on it? She has a question or you had it?
No, I had it.
Okay. One more.
Yeah, for when I become a waitress. I'm talking.
Right, that's what I know.
I was stretching. You have Oh, I can see that. But there was nothing I was responding to. Like if Joe just talked to somebody about it.
I did what?
I was touching and they thought I was banging my head against the podium. And I said,
I
I
get
would
it.
do that if you would get it. I'll put that in. They just don't look. Like you kind of gotta look at the chart though. Yeah. Put your head down. Put your head down. Okay. I didn't even look at what they were.
There were these.
Boom.
Okay. Nice humble brag there.
I've got some answers.
Nice flex. Is that what the kids say these days?
I was Noah right there.
Yeah, that was very Nolan.
Yeah. Flex a lot.
I was like, I didn't see what the answers were. She's like, they're right here. That was something you did. This is why this
No, you
class is
don't.
my favorite. Like, I know you.
I really just wrote F instead of E.
Smart class.
Stupid.
Right, so it took a while to like, because it's way more fun when you know the people when I'm just teaching
Okay,
like,
can I have it?
faces. You did, huh? Like,
He enjoys it.
No, and these are guys in the back. You remember who they were?
I didn't know Shram.
Yeah.
I knew Nathan. I didn't know he was that lazy though. Michael I knew. Dylan I didn't know.
Thanks for having us.
Michael I didn't know was that hard to work.
One day I'll
I agree. I just kind of like, I think it's easier, so we just didn't do much, but then. Alright. So, first one, your derivative would be 2 times f of x to the first times f prime of x. Hopefully this is getting like redundant at this point. Then I'm plugging in 3, so I'm just going to save a little step here and just put 3 in all those slots. F of 3 is 2, so 2 times 2, and then f prime of 3 is negative 3 halves. So those will cancel, and then that's negative 6. How many had negative 6 for the first one? Second one, so H2 prime, F prime of G of, so these are technically X's, but I'm just kind of shortcutting it at this point, and let's just plug in the 1s now. And then remember, this is a composite function, not a multiplication, so we're finding G of 1. G of 1 is 1. Erase that, 1 there. And then f prime of 1 times G one. I'm gonna get 2 for that one. Nice. Questions? Alright, were there any questions on the homework from last night? So I gave you guys all those chain rule problems. With their powers, their logs, or their natural logs, their e's, trig. How are those? Solid? Who said home? You had a question or you were just...
No, I was just.
Okay. So, then, I'm gonna have like a new lesson for you. We're combining things. So, you know how to find, horizontal tangent line, equation of tangent line, normal, slope, like so it's all those concepts, but now with chain rule and trading and that stuff. So it's just kind of melding 2 lessons together. So I'm giving you guys the hour to work on it, answers around here, work together, ask you for help, whatever. Dalton, you go to the table, then pass it across to CC. Please. Sure, are your legs broken? You gonna give me a delivery tip if I bring it to you?
Yeah, that was cool.
Not that bottom of my brain can shut up. Anything flew all over people. Let's get to work, please.